Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Today I wanted to outline what I've learnt so far in the first 15 or so hours of the Trials of the Ancestors expansion, specifically when it comes to the Ancestors mechanics. Now, this mechanic is a pretty difficult part strategy, part combat fight. This is going to be something that you will fail and you will definitely die in quite a lot. The thing is that dying in this is actually not a particularly serious problem. When we go into the Eye of Destiny, you'll be provided with a list of people you can fight against. Each one of them will offer you various rewards, and there are two categories of rewards. Firstly, there are standard PathOfExile items. So whatever you decide you want to take from here, you're going to be able to keep. This will include items that are from the core game pool, like this stack of 3 Varlorbs, and also some things that are 3.22 exclusive, such as this tattoo of the Totem Scout. Then, there's also this section called Sponsors. Now, the sponsors provide you with currency that you can spend only on the present tournament, and these will make subsequent matches easier to defeat. However, each match gets much harder than the one before it. What I suggest you do is take any extraordinary rewards if they show up. For example, if instead of this divination card being the mercenary, it was the nurse, then I would take the nurse. I would go for that. But in the absence of extraordinary rewards, you should prioritize the highest number in this middle category. So you can see here that Rakiata has 2,000 here, 750 points of trade value with the Hinekora tribe, 750 with the Rongakurai tribe, and 500 with the Kitava tribe. So that's 2,000. That's probably going to be the highest, but we can have a look down and see if there's anyone else that comes close. And whilst Akoya comes close at 1750, doesn't quite get there. So for that reason, I'm going to start with the Rakiata tribe, even though 3 Varlorbs is a better reward than 5 Chromatic Orbs, even though Tattoo of the Totem Scout is arguably a better reward than 5 Chromatic Orbs. That's going to be the way that I'm going to start. We're going to jump into this. Now, you're going to have a number of minions. This will default to 3 if you have never won a tournament before, and generally 5 or 6 if you have won tournaments before. You can choose between 16 locations on the battlefield that you put your allies. Now, it's very important to note that you are the superstar of your team. Your allies are there, they're pretty impactful, but you are the superstar and these people are the supporting cast. Not all of the positions that are available are equal in power. In fact, I would say that the defender positions are far weaker than all of the others. The attacker positions are weaker than everything else. And then you have the flanker positions are strong and the escort positions are strong. Let's just quickly outline what they do. The attacker ones will somewhat mindlessly push forward, trying to attack anything that's in their way. The flanker positions will also do something similar, but they will do so around the edges, and that can be quite difficult for the opponents to counteract. A quick note in editing that the superiority of the flanking positions is mostly due to the fact that the other side needs to move in order to counter them, and that means that the other side does not have the initiative. They are the ones that are spending their time moving while you're spending your time attacking. That's the key reason that they're better. The escort positions, they will follow your character to some extent. And the defender positions will stay back and they will attack anyone that attacks your back line. Now, what's really important here is that in standard PathOfExile, dropping to 0 hit points is death. That's the worst thing that can happen to your character in any particular combat encounter. That is not the case here. Dropping to 0 seconds is a timeout. You will be thrown out of the arena for a few seconds. I believe it to be 5 or 6 seconds the first time it happens, and it does seem to get longer after that, although I've not exactly timed that. So if you were to die 3 times in an encounter, it might be 6 seconds the first time, 8 the second, 10 the third. You're going to be paralyzed, and then at the end of that period, you're going to be restored at full health and full flask charges, and that's going to be somewhere else on the battlefield that's generally not convenient. The key thing is that that takes you out of the fight for a protracted period of time. And the same thing happens to NPCs, allied or enemy, but they seem to have a slightly shorter timeout than you do. I'm not sure that it's shorter, it just feels like it is. The only way that you can permanently ban a combatant from this tournament match is by destroying their pillar that they're associated with, and that will be in their starting location. So for example, this Tuatara, I'm just going to put it in this flanking position here, and in fact I might just move everyone into a position that is semi-useful for them. Now that we've done this, these characters are going to respawn in the place that I've put them in if they're killed, but they will be in timeout for a period. Now, the other thing that's very important is that when you're attempting to destroy a totem, you don't attempt to destroy a totem by dealing damage to it. Instead, you channel a skill that is just close range and that takes about 5 seconds in order to destroy a totem, And if you're trying to destroy the enemy team leader's totem, then that takes a longer period of time. That takes something like 10 seconds. During this period, if you are hit by anything, it is going to inflict a very, very severe stun. What's important to know is that this stun is comparable in severity to how bad it is for your character to be dropped to 0 health. So always remember, you are the superstar of your team. If you get stunned for 5 seconds, it is going to be a very, very serious setback for your team. That's going to give the other team a chance to regroup and potentially a chance to take down a few of the totems that are anchoring your allies to the field. And once they're down, you're going to be outnumbered. And once you're outnumbered, it's going to be harder to get back into the game. Anyways, this is only round 1, so it's going to be reasonably fair. We're going to go into this. And the key thing that you'll see that I'm doing, because I've told my minions to go in all of the offensive positions, what I'm going to do is keep the minimap open, and I am the defender and troubleshooter. I am going to try to hold off the entire opposing team by myself and let my minions do most of the work. But when I see an opportunity, I'm going to jump in. And generally speaking, the opportunity is when your opponent's team leader has died. So I'm about to kill Rakiata here. When that happens, I'm going to kill as many of the other NPCs as I can, and I'm going to try and destroy this pillar here, which I am able to do successfully and safely. And then I'm going to look around, but because if I got stunned for 5 seconds it would be disruptive to my team, I didn't take a gamble with hitting this one. Now there you will see Rakiata actually stunned one of my allies, and that's a 5-second stun, which is pretty devastating. But it actually doesn't matter that much because my allies are expendable. They're not the stars. You as the player, you are the star of your team. Now this is the first tournament in the round. The first tournament is designed as somewhat of a warm-up and also as an opportunity to build resources for the later matches that are to come. However, we're just going to take Rakiata out, and then once Rakiata is down, they'd respawn except we destroy their totem, and that's a match victory. We're now going to receive the rewards. The rewards are the contents of the Ancestral War Chest, which is the prize that was offered. And also we're going to get the currency called Favours. So we got 250 Favours with Navali. You'll always get 250 with Navali, plus 750 with Hinakora, 500 with Kitava, and 750 with Rongo Karai. And a super important clarification here, these are not a currency that you can maintain on your character or even just store indefinitely. They are only able to be used during the current tournament. Once this current tournament ends, either with your elimination or your success, all of your Favours are wiped and you'll start over again. We can now go and spend those, and you'll do a path through all the vendors here and just have a look and see who's got a number over their head that's non-zero, and then just go and see what they're selling. The first thing you want to buy at this point is additional troops because you are going to be outnumbered. We don't have any direct options to purchase additional troops there. We could manage it, and I'll get to how you would manage it in a sec. In fact, I'll demonstrate that. But we didn't have enough currency to quite buy anything off him. We can buy this Fieldmaster, and whilst you can buy these single-use items, and also these enhancements to your existing minions, I generally suggest that you focus on evening up the numbers first. Once you've evened up the numbers, then something like the Emerging Bellow is not necessarily the worst thing you could do. Alright, so the other thing you can do is we can go to Yachula, and if we wanted this Consuming Kunkake, we would need to raise another 150 coins, and we could do that by selling Kitava some of the members of our team if we wanted. I'm not going to do that, but it is an option that you've got, and it would be a better option if I had 525. Then I could sell one of the weaker warriors like the Tuatara or the Honored Sage, and I could pick up this Consuming Kukune. Additionally, sometimes when you purchase a unit, they will have an item equipped already. That'll be indicated here, and they'll already gain the benefits of that. Alright, so now we're going to go into a second tournament in the series, and we're going to have slightly better rewards offered to us. 3 Orbs of Unmaking, probably the best, unless there's something better. And we'll just have a quick flick through. No, it looks like 3 Orbs of Unmaking is the best of the rewards, but it's not an extraordinary reward. It's a good one, and it's one we'd be happy to take, but maybe we want to have a look at someone else as well. We can pick which of these opponents we fight, and maybe it's best to fight Ahuana. Even though we're getting less in the way of direct rewards, we're going to be getting more of these Favours, which is then going to put us into a better position if a better reward is offered next time. So that's what we're going to do. We've got 2,250 Favour total, which is the highest I've ever seen, and we're going to take this opportunity to fight against Ahuana. Now this time, we can put out a couple of extra monsters. So we're going to do that, and we're going to prioritise the best spots. So the escort spots are the best spots, the flanker spots are second best, the attacker are third, and the defenders are the weakest because you can handle the defensive job anyway. Alright, in we go, and this time again, we're going to make sure that we're going to try and control the center and deal with any monsters that come through. The other thing that will come up on the minimap, you'll see at the moment that a couple of my sides are coming under attack, a couple of my totems. I'm just going to travel to those immediately, and I'm going to inflict a stun on whoever is channeling the Banishment of Totem skill, because that's going to be a fairly long stun. It's actually longer on players than it is on monsters, but it's something like 5 seconds on players. I don't think it's anything like that on monsters. Now, just connecting with damage over time isn't sufficient. You need to actually inflict a hit as well, and that's why I'm using Shield Charge. So even though all the damage that's taking these things down is from Righteous Fire and Searing Bond, I am also using the other skill. Now notice what's happened on the right hand side of the screen while I've been doing this. You'll see that my minions have basically soloed all of the totems on the other side. That's because they're actually pretty good at taking those out. That is their job. They are no worse than me at taking out the other side's totems, but they are much worse than me at holding off the other side's combat capacity. And that is the key strategy to this. What you want to do is gain control of the battlefield. You want to try to gain a numbers advantage in your side. You want to temporarily banish the other side by dropping their hit points to 0 so that they're out of the fight for a few seconds. And then once you've done that, you can then regain control over the battlefield and go in and collect your loot. You will not win until you have destroyed all of the totems of all of the other side, but the longer the fight goes on, the more times that each person on the other side will have been dropped to 0 health, and therefore the longer it's going to take them to respawn, and the more time you're going to have to work uninterrupted on their totem. Next, it is possible to get yourself into an awkward situation where you are still alive, but you've got no allies alive, and the other side has 8 people left alive. In this situation, if the reward is extraordinary, then there is a way to fight for this, but in most cases the correct answer is simply just to give up. All you need to do then is just walk away and let them destroy your totem, and that will end your misery. If you do try and win this fight, you can do it, but it is going to be a very, 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 very long fight, because what you're going to need to do is keep killing the other side over and over again until their respawn timer becomes extraordinarily long. Only then will you be able to kill them all, and then after you've killed them all, destroy one of their totems. Then kill them all again, and destroy one more totem. Maybe this time you'll get 2. Kill them all again. This time you probably will get 2 totems. This is a long process, and as a result, I don't recommend doing it, except just do it once because it is a bit of fun. Anyways, that's what I've learnt so far. In terms of the rewards you seem to get tattoo offers and low-end currencies very frequently, but these rewards are likely to scale up as your arena rank goes up. You'll see here that the arena ranking that I'm at is 132. This is not very high. This can go miles, miles, miles higher. This is monster level 69 equivalent. Now, you can keep ranking this up, and I believe there's a challenge to do encounters at ranking above 250, which is probably monster level 83, or possibly deep into monster level 83. And that's going to make the monsters tougher, that's going to make the encounters tougher, but it's likely also going to result in there being better and more rewards available to you. Additionally, there's undoubtedly some things that are only available at higher level, and there's also some things that are only available from a chest that you get when you complete an entire tournament. So this is not just competing 1 or 2 rounds like we did there, this is continuing until the double elimination tournament is over and everyone except you is eliminated. Once you emerge victorious from the entire tournament, you'll be offered 2 choices of rewards. Generally speaking, one of them seems to be an honoured tattoo, and one of them seems to be something else, and they do tend to be fairly good. At least that's my experience so far. Anyways, that's the league mechanic, or at least what I've been able to work out about it so far. There's undoubtedly going to be corrections to this over the next few days as we work out a little bit more about it. But until then, just remember that the most important things are to send your allies to be the offense. You be the troubleshooter. You use your combat prowess to defend the totems of your allies, while your allies wipe out the totems of the opposing team. That's the best strategy I've found so far. May your Varlobs have interesting results.